Dawn crossbow builds, yeah.
Hello world, welcome to Grim Dawn Crossbow Builds, where that's what we talk about, crossbow builds for Grim Dawn. Our character today is a Druid, which is the combination of an Arcanist and a Shaman. This is a hybrid pet and player damage build, which is a very hard thing to get working, but I think I've succeeded in this case. We are using the Ugdenbog Arcaneweaver crossbow rolled with a pet affix, and a mix of player and pet damage gear. We've got 2 permanent pets, 3 temporary pets, 2 player-scaled pets, and 2 active player skills. The 2 permanent pets are the Shaman's Briarthorn and the Chillmane Yeti from our amulet. We also have 3 temporary pets, Conjure Primal Spirit from the Shaman, a Bound Wraith from a Barrowholm faction item, and the Eldritch Hound from the Bismael's Command Devotion proc. We also have 2 player-scaled pets, the Shaman's Wind Devils, and Cinder Winds from our gloves. Our left-click skill is Savagery, with Primal Strike on right-click. The red clouds are the Cinder Winds, and we'll get our pets to attack. Let's take a look at our skills. We're primarily a shaman, with most of the shaman tree having some investment in it. For all the beginners out there, this is generally not how you want to do a build. This would be spreading your points way too thin in most cases. However, I'm quite enjoying the way this plays. The primary player skill is Savagery, which is just above the soft cap and activates the Arcane Bomb for lightning resistance reduction. The Might of the Bear Transmuter is maxed out for a total damage bonus of 18%. Tenacity of the Boar has 1 point in it for health regeneration. And Storm Touched is close to the soft cap, primarily for the attack speed but also for the electrocute damage. On right click we've got Primal Strike. This is optional, I just like the way it plays. If you just want to use Savagery, you can take the points out of this line and put them in the Savagery line. The modifiers each have 1 point in them for a little extra crowd control and lightning damage. Brute Force gives flat damage and opens the way for Feral Hunger and Upheaval. These are the triggers for Cleansing Waters and Bismael's Command. Our exclusive aura is Stormcaller's Pact for electrocute and crit damage. You could also use Primal Bond for your pets, but we've already got damage absorption from the Arcanist's Maven's Sphere of Protection. Our second aura from the Shaman is Mugdrogan's Pact, which gives flat damage and health regen for both you and your pets. Giant's Blood is bound to this one. Heart of the Wild is at the soft cap, giving health and a reduction in poison and bleeding duration. And Oak Skin is also at the soft cap, giving DA, armor, and resistances to you and your pets. Speaking of pets, our first one is Wind Devil, a player-scaled pet which triggers Elemental Storm. As with any elemental damage build, Raging Tempest is the node to max out, because resistance reduction which starts with a minus symbol is the best kind and stacks with other sources additively. And Maelstrom has 1 point in it for a little extra damage. Our critters that scale with pet bonuses are Conjure Primal Spirit, which just has 1 point in it because it has a very long downtime. The star of the pet show is Summon Briarthorn, which is sitting pretty close to the hard cap and triggers the Eye of Korvac. The Briarthorn's secondary attack, Ground Slam, is a little bit over the soft cap, giving some helpful AoE damage. And Emboldening Presence, the Briarthorn's aura is close to the hard cap, benefiting both the player and the other pets. Our investment in the Arcanist tree is much lighter. We're mainly interested in Iskandra's Elemental Exchange, which gives a ton of elemental damage for the player and the pets. The Manifestation Transmuter is at the hard cap, giving our pets flat elemental damage and physical to elemental conversion. Overload and Elemental Balance are sitting near the soft cap, giving extra crit damage, elemental damage, and OA. At least 1 point in Mirror of Urioctes is always nice, and Maven's Sphere of Protection is almost always capped on any Arcanist build. Global damage absorption is a very powerful defensive layer, This does not apply to your pets, however. And we have a token point in conversion for secondary resistances. If you don't find this node compelling, you could refund it and take 8 points back from the skill bar. On a hybrid build like this, you can always find somewhere to put more skill points. On the bottom, we have a few points in inner focus. I would usually max this out, but the player already has a big OA boost from the Briarthorn's Emboldening Presence. Arcane Will and Nullification are just nice utility skills that function well with a single point. Our devotions are all around the map. Generally, we're working towards a tier 3 devotion, either Korvac the Eldritch Sun at the top, or Ultos at the bottom, which benefits the player. I went for Korvac because I think the proc works really well on the Briarthorn, and it's got some weapon damage on it. You could start this out with a point in yellow to take the Panther and Ulo, the Keeper of the Waters. Both of those constellations benefit the player and the pets. Then you could take a point in green and take the Raven. This is pretty decent for lightning pets, but it's not in my endgame build because the flat lightning damage was removed in the new patch. With those green points, you can take the Kraken and the Widow, which are basically required on a two-handed lightning build. Back at the crossroads, a point in purple will get you the Empty Throne, which is great for both player and pet resistances, and Rowan's Crown, which most elemental builds will take for the proc. From here you can refund your points in yellow, purple, and green, stick a point in red, and take these constellations in the southwest. Hydra gives flat damage, OA, and attack speed, Behemoth gives lots of health regen for you and your pets, and Bismeal's Bonds gives another temporary pet. That's it for the tier 1 and 2 constellations. If you prefer to take Ultos, you could go down here and do that. Or if you want to use Korvac like I did, you'll need more blue points. I used the Eel and 1 point in the crossroads to take most of Korvac. And now for our items. The Ugdenbog Arcaneweaver crossbow is primarily intended for player damage, but it can be found with pet affixes such as this one, the suffix of Bestial Rage, giving 6 skill points to the Briarthorn and damage and attack speed to all pets. The flat elemental damage and attack speed on Iskandra's Elemental Exchange apply to both the player and the pets, which is why I chose this weapon. Our helm is an Ascended Diadem, which is nice for any lightning druid, with OA and DA to Stormcaller's Pact and bonuses to Mirror of Yriaktes. This can also be found with pet affixes, in this case of the Wild, which boosts Emboldening Presence and gives elemental resistance to pets. Our amulet is the Mythical Heart of the Mountain, which gives a second permanent pet flat cold damage and +1 to all shaman skills. Our first ring is a Bloodsworn Signet, which comes from the Darkvale Gate boss and always gives pet bonuses. The suffix of Nature's Bounty I find particularly nice, with +3 to Mogdrogan's Pact. Our other ring is the Mythical Glyph of Kelfat Zoth, which is craftable. You can see I got an armor bonus from Angrim. This gives lightning damage to player and pets and converts the rest of their physical damage to lightning. The chest piece is pretty flexible on this build. I'm using Valexteria's Skytorn robes because I like the affixes on this one. Our shoulder piece is the Mantle of Mogdrogan. If you do the optional Rover quest to clear the Chthonians from their shrine, an avatar of Mogdrogan will show up there, and if you're able to defeat him, he'll drop these shoulders. These are very good for lightning pets, converting basically all fire and vitality damage into lightning. This is really helpful considering that we have a lot of flat fire damage from Iskandra's Elemental Exchange. The vitality to lightning conversion also benefits the Barrowholm pet. Our gloves are Cinder Touch with flat lightning damage, attack speed, and another player-scaled pet similar to the Wind Devil. Our boots are the Mythical Storm Titan treads. These are useful but not essential. Crafted boots like these would be a nice alternative. Our medal is the Mythical Mark of Unlife, with pet bonuses, more flat damage on Iskandra's Elemental Exchange, and a circuit breaker for the player called Unlife. In the belt slot is the Mythical Voidmancer's Cord, giving full acid to lightning conversion for pets. This benefits the Shaman's Primal Spirit and also the Eldritch Hound from the Bismeal's Command proc. Our medal is Eye of the Storm, with +1 to all Shaman skills and a Stormcaller aura which applies to both you and your pets. And for pants we have the Mythical Runebrand Leg Wraps, which boost 2 of our auras and give lots of pet bonuses. Let's talk a bit about leveling. The Arcaneweaver doesn't become available until level 40, and you also have to be hostile with Barrowholm to get it, so you'll be using some other weapons before then. You can pick up a Hevel's Greatsword in Lower Crossing, which will get you off to a good start with Savagery and Primal Strike. Some of the endgame MIs you'll be able to use while leveling. Zoraya's Pendant is a good leveling amulet, with pet bonuses and +1 to all shaman skills, and Agalis's Ring is also nice for leveling. In the metal slot, you can use a Wendigo Gaze for Summon Briarthorn, or a Rylock Crest for Savagery. And a good leveling relic would be Savage for the Stormhound. This is very on theme for this build. There are faction blueprint belts for both the Arcanist and the Shaman that work pretty well, and the Ascended Epaulettes make a nice shoulder piece. These can also work for endgame if you're not able to take on Mugdrogan, and you might keep an eye out for the lower level versions of Thunder Touch Bracers for player lightning damage. I recommend going friendly with Barrowholm on this character and farming your Arcaneweaver on another character, because their Vile Tincture gives you a temporary pet with a similar cooldown to the Primal Spirit. They also have good chest and shoulder pieces for this build. For pants, you probably want some Bismeal Sect Leggards, or some rares with pet affixes. This build is flexible with skill point progression. You may want to lean more into player damage or pet damage depending on the gear that you find, but in the end, it is an equal focus on both. Let's go to an SR run.